Hey everyone, welcome back to 3D Printing Club. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of Tinkercad, which is a free online resource that you can use to create your own 3D models. You can use Tinkercad on almost any device, whether it's a smartphone, tablet, laptop, or desktop computer. There is a Tinkercad app compatible with tablets, which is what I will be using on my iPad. Once you've created your Tinkercad account, you can do a few easy tutorials to get the hang of the software. I'm going to go through the tutorials with you and then show you a few more cool features in Tinkercad. From your home screen after logging in, click the button that says Learn in the top right corner. Start by clicking on the tutorial titled Place It, and from there it will take you through all the introductory lessons. The first tutorial simply shows you how to drag shapes onto the work plane. The instructions for the tutorials appear on the left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen, you can browse through all of the shapes Tinkercad has preloaded for you to use. There they have all the building blocks you need to start your design. Next, you'll need to practice navigating your view of the work plane. The instructions are geared toward users on a laptop or a desktop computer, but it's a little bit different if you're using a tablet or a smartphone with a touchscreen. On my iPad, I can zoom using the same motion I would normally use to zoom, placing my thumb and index finger on the screen and widening them away from each other. To rotate, I just use one finger and swipe across the screen in the direction I want to rotate. To move from side to side, I put two fingers on the screen and slide in the direction I want to go. You can also use the view cube in the top left corner to rotate your view around. Next, we're practicing moving shapes around the work plane. You just need to move the 4 cubes to the positions in the corners of the work plane. It takes precise movement to get them in the right position, which you'll get better at with practice. Try to rotate and zoom in the work plane as needed to get this task done so you can practice those movements as well. Especially when you're working on your own design and you want to get it right, it's a good idea to check your work from different angles to make sure everything is lining up the way you want it to. Next, we learn how to rotate shapes. When you tap or click on the shape you want to rotate, the rotation handles will show up on the sides of the shape in the form of little curved arrows. As you start to turn the shape, you'll be able to see the degree of the angle you're rotating on. A good tip to remember when working on a touchscreen is that you'll want to tap on the background away from the shape you've been working on before you tap another shape. If you tap them one right after the other, the first one will stay selected and you might accidentally move it too. Anytime you see a number value pop up near the handles of your object, whether it's while rotating the angle or changing dimensions, you can click on that and type in a specific number. This is especially helpful if you want a specific size or angle and you're having a hard time positioning it just right. Next, we're learning how to change the size of an object. When you select one of your objects, handles will come up around it. The black handles allow you to change the size of the shape in a single direction, and the white handles let you change the size in 2 directions at one time. It can be easy to grab the wrong handle for what you want to do if they're close to each other on the screen, especially on a touch screen. To make sure that you have the right handle selected, tap the screen on the one you want to use and the one you've selected will turn red. Next, we learn how to group shapes, which is good for combining two solid shapes and for cutting a hole in one shape using another. Select a shape and look at the menu in the top middle that says Shapes. The button that's currently selected is a solid color, which means it's a solid shape. If we selected the gray striped button to the right, that would make that shape into a hole. Look at the icons in the top middle of the menu that look like a square with a circle attached to it. Those are the group and ungroup buttons. To make a hole, set your shape to the hole setting, position it on the object you want to cut a hole in, and select both objects. On a computer, press Shift and then click on both shapes, and on a touchscreen, just tap one shape and then the other. Then press the Group button to cut the hole. The last tutorial teaches you how to quickly align shapes with each other using the Align tool so that you don't have to try to align things just by eyeballing it. The Align button in the menu is to the right of the Group and Ungroup buttons. It's that vertical line with the two rectangles next to it. When you've selected the shapes you want to align and you click the Align button, the Align handles will appear. Hovering over the Align handles with your cursor or pressing and holding on a touchscreen will give you a preview of how your shapes will look when aligned. To complete this tutorial, you'll have to align all the boxes in the front of the plane like you see in the picture in the instructions on the left, but it's a good idea to preview a few other alignments first just to practice. Now that we've finished all the tutorials, I'm going to open a new project so I can show you a few more features of Tinkercad. The first one I want to look at is the Scribble shape. Grab the Scribble shape from the menu on the right and drag it into the work plane. The work plane will turn into a writing pad so that you can make your scribble. My favorite thing to do with this is to write in cursive. Once you're happy with what you've drawn and you click Done, your shape will appear in 3D in the work plane. Take a minute to look over at the right and click through some of the available shapes. You don't have to worry about creating a lot of shapes yourself because so many are preloaded into Tinkercad, even shapes you wouldn't necessarily expect. You can find shapes of everyday objects, tools, and even things like bones. Between now and our next meeting of 3D Printing Club, play around in Tinkercad and try to get used to the tools it offers. Under the Learn tab, there are even more tutorials that go a little deeper than the ones we looked at today, and they even offer a lot of different projects with step-by-step instructions that will help you get better at 3D modeling. If you run into any issues with Tinkercad, or if you just have any questions, feel free to send me an email. I'm no professional with 3D modeling, but I'm happy to try to help you in any way that I can. Thank you so much for joining me for today's 3D Printing Club. Make sure to check back next week to learn about customizing 3D models.